Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the AFUL Acoustics Performer5, and these are my honest audiophile impressions. So when I asked AFUL Acoustics if they had a Performer5 available for review, they advised me they had already distributed all of their reviewer units, but that I could purchase one at a discounted price. So I took them up on their offer and purchased the Performer5s for $80. AFUL Acoustics, thank you for the offer. You rock. All right, so the AFUL Acoustics Performer5. These will set you back $220 from your bank account. And they are a 5-driver hybrid. They have one dynamic driver for the bass, 2 balanced armatures for the mids, and 2 balanced armatures for the treble. They also have all sorts of technology inside them. AFUL Acoustics calls it the Envision Tech High Precision 3D Printed Acoustic Tube Structure, a high dampening air pressure balance system, and a RLC network frequency division correction technology, something like a crossover. They have 35 ohms of impedance, 110 decibels of sensitivity, a frequency response range of 5 Hz to 35 kHz, and 26 dB of passive noise reduction. Now they come in this very nice box, got some pictures and branding on the front, some specs, and a little measurement of their signature. Taking the sleeve off, you're greeted by a black box. You get some paperwork on the inside. And then you would have your IEMs and a carrying case. And then you get tips. Now let's talk about these tips for a moment. So the tips that you receive look like the standard bass and balanced that you would normally get. Blue being balanced, red being bass. But AFUL Acoustics does something a little bit differently. So the top ones are more shaped, whoops, get it back in shape here, there we go, are more shaped like olive, grape shape, have a little bit narrower of a bore. And then going to the middle and the bottom one, you end up with a taller tip that's a little bit more conical, but also has a wider bore. Those are the tips that I used. And the differences between the two, the ones that are a little bit narrower, put more focus on the bass, and in the upper mids and lower treble region, kind of turn it into a more V-shaped type of sound. And then the wider bore, more conical shaped tip, I found was a little bit more balanced and did not have as much emphasis in the bass and the upper mids. Also, it added a little bit of extension into the treble, and you got a little bit more air and space. Differences between the red and the blue. The blue ones also are a little bit more balanced. You don't have as much focus on the bass, and also it adds a little bit more extension into the sound stage. Whereas the red ones, you get more of a intimate sound and a more focus on the bass. So I went with the blue tips. You also get this nice carrying case, says AFUL on the front. It's made of hard plastic. Very nice carrying case. Again, protect it, your IEMs very well. Then you get the Performer5s. Nice orange faceplate. Says AFUL on it. They look very nice and sharp. Not the heaviest things out there, which is a nice thing. They are plastic build, but very well built. You get a nice nozzle length. A little bit of a wing. You can see that there's some curvatures all over. Very ergonomic build. I find that it's very well built, looks nice, and feels light in the hand. Putting the tips on, you can see how much that those nozzles do extend. You're going to get a nice insertion into your ears, and that helps with the 26 dB of passive noise reduction. As you can see, they just disappear into my ears. They're very small fitting. They don't protrude out. Very comfortable. That wing just fits me perfectly. These are very comfortable IEM for me. The angle fits right. The wing shaped ergonomics of it is just very well built. And overall, I can't really hear anything. They do a very good job of blocking out outside noises. That passive noise reduction is legit at 26 dBs. Probably somewhere 75% of outside noise is being blocked. Anything around the house, pretty much I can't hear unless it's something loud like a vacuum cleaner. Outside, only loud vehicles was I able to hear. Anybody trying to carry on a conversation with me, I could not hear. I had to take them out to hear what they were saying to me. Did not take any mass transit trips, so I do not know how they would do in that setting. Overall, though, they should work very well in louder office settings. I like the build of them. I like the look of them. Love the comfort of them. Everything about the design and fit works very well for my ears. The cable is very nice. You have nice, well-controlled ear hooks, enough tension to hold everything in place. And then you get something that we don't get all the time on a cable, and that's a cinch that actually stays in place. The cable is well built, has nice feel to it, kind of on the thicker side, but it's not heavy, and it terminates to a 3.5. I found that the AFUL Performer5s are very easy to drive, and they're not very source picky. They do reveal differences in sound signatures of sources, but they're not hard to drive whatsoever. Dongles, DAPs, desktop all worked very well with the AFUL Performer5s for me. Had no issues there whatsoever. They do scale with better gear, and I found that they liked a little bit of power. So just kind of depends on what you want to, what sound signature you like. Pair them up with your favorite, and they're good to go. Not picky whatsoever. I want to thank all my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships for all the support that you give to the channel is much appreciated. I know that the times in this day and age are not easy financially, so anything that you give to the channel is much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out the links. There's ways that you can contact on a monthly basis through Patreon and YouTube memberships, or one-time gifts through PayPal and Venmo. Also, while you're down there checking out those links, don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and also hit the subscription button if you haven't already, and that notification bell. That way you'll know when the next Honest Audiophile video is uploaded. All right, so the AFUL Performer5s. These have a very nice sound to them. They have a nice big bass, nice and full, lots of power, good authority, well controlled for the most part, very good details and resolution, and a nice tonality to them. They do struggle a little bit on bassier tracks and some more busy tracks. At times it'll get a little bit muddled and a little bit jumbled in the bass, but for the most part they stay well controlled, and they do a good job of presenting the bass, keeping it energetic, keeping the toes tapping and the fingers snapping, and just the music moving along. It does a very good job in the bass, and it drives things home. It's not quite on bass head levels, but it is a nice detailed and resolving bass that has a lot of energy to it. The mids of the Performer5s are very nice. They have good tonality to them, and they have a good balance, and they're very cohesive. They have just enough space and a good amount of clarity to things, and they have a little bit of elevation in the upper mids, especially going towards 4K. And at times that can be just a little too much, and it'll bring in a little bit of sibilance, and it'll be a little bit on the bright side of things going towards the 8K region. But for the most part, the mids are very pleasing. They do have a little bit of BA timbre, a little bit of tinniness and metallicism to them at times. It's not always noticeable, but at times it does protrude its presentation just a little bit, just to throw things off. But for the most part, the mids have a very nice forward presentation without being shouty, and I really do enjoy the mids of the Performer5. Nice tonality, good note weight, good body to things, and overall very pleasing, except for that little 4K rise that just adds in a little bit of sibilance, and then going into the presence regions and into the lower treble regions, 6 to 8K, a little too much sizzle at times, and it can be a little bit on the bright side. Lower treble can be a little bit hot right around 8K, and then it kind of tails off, and it becomes a very mellow and laid back presentation in the treble. I do wish it had a little bit more sparkle and energy and a little bit more air. It's at times can sound a little stuffy on the top end, and I find that it can be a little bit too lackadaisical. It's trying to be too non-offensive, too polite at times in the treble. And overall, though, it's a very enjoyable sound from the Performer5s. The treble has nice tonality, good detail retrieval and resolution, but I wish that it just had a little bit more crispness, a little bit more energy. Soundstage of the Performer5s is on the smaller side. It is a okay size, but wish I had just a little bit more, and it can struggle to portray a realistic soundstage. Sometimes it sounds a little too small when it should be a more grand sounding recording, and it doesn't have the biggest depth. Sometimes things can sound a little compressed and a little close. But what it does do inside the area that it is provided is very good with imaging and layering. Things really play, mesh together, and you can dissect the stage very well. You can hear all of the different instruments, and you can pinpoint them and place them very well. Things track across the stage very well, and it does a very good job in imaging and layering. Not so good in width and depth. Detail retrieval is good, and resolution is very good. You're not going to lose any details in a track, and it's going to resolve what it pulls out of it very well. It does a very good job of that, and I never felt like I was lacking anything in a track. Tonality is good, except for a little bit of BA timbre, a little tinniness and metallicism that rears its ugly face every now and then in the upper mids region, 4K, and also going into the lower treble regions. I like the AFUL Acoustics Performer5s. This is a good IEM, and it has a different type of presentation that I was not expecting whatsoever. And I think it's a very good sounding. Has a few little niggles about it, but I like it. But there's another IEM, kind of similar price point, that I kind of like a little better. And that is the JQ4U Pro. I like the 4U Pro because it has a little bit better tonality, a little bit better tone and timbre, more natural, does not have that tinny metallic BA timbre. Also, it is a little bit more detailed, a little better resolving, and it has a more extended treble, a little bit more air and space, and it has a more neutral reference sound signature. Whereas the AFUL Performer5s are more of along the lines of a fun and engaging and just kind of all around listen, whereas the JQ4U Pro is a more neutral, analytical listen. So I prefer the 4U Pro, but the Performer5 is a very good IEM, and I highly recommend it. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and also to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already done that. That way you'll know when the next video is uploaded. Also, check out the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you contact channel, follow channel, support the channel. All that kind of stuff is listed down below, along with gear recommendations and music recommendations and tier lists, and all kinds of other things are down below. So check out all those links. And then last but not least, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.